Logitech is back with the new MX Master 4 and we're going to take a look at this in detail and at the moment I've got the MX Master 3 which I've been using for so long now, MX Master 3 for Mac, and then we have the new one right there, right up top, so this one here. So there are subtle changes here and there that we're going to go through, which some you've probably noticed straight away just by looking at it. If you zoom in closely, you must start to notice them. But one thing I love about the MX Master series is they are so good, especially for productivity. They connect to multiple devices and it's so easy to use. They're really nice and comfortable in hand to use as well, and the ergonomics is so good as well. Unfortunately, they still don't have one for left-handed people, so when it comes to being ambidextrous, sorry about that, you'll only be able to use this comfortably using your right hand. But anyway, let's talk about some of the differences here. Sorry, I don't have the MX Master 3S to compare, but I have the 3 here, which I've been used, it's been trusted. I've got 2 of them, which I take one everywhere with me and one sits here in the studio. But yeah, so the MX Master 4, straight away you will notice subtle changes. For example, the scroll wheel on there, so this horizontal scroll is kind of more prominent on the new one. So you can see that it sticks out right on the edge there versus the older 3, which tucks in just underneath the mouse body there, and then you got the LED indicator light next to it on the old one, but the new one is now being placed up top, which will show that shortly as well. And then you notice a new button that's been added on the new one, which allows you to do things like gestures. So it allows you to bring, so say the windows to the front, for example, or move things around depending on what you want to do. We'll talk about the software as well, because that allows you to do so much more with your new MX Master 4. And then you'll also notice on the new one, there's this button here, which is nice and prominent now. They've got this nice cutout to it. This is your action ring button or something like that. I can't remember the exact name of what that's called, but what essentially allows you to do is click that, and then you have loads of options available depending on which app you got. For example, you can also have it to do things like your AI and functionality and so on. But again, we'll talk more about the software shortly. Compared to the older one here, the 3, which is just this little indentation that's just placed right there. But this is really nice and soft in terms of the build. The materials are really nice as well. I really like it. It's very comfortable without overly doing it or changing it drastically. This button will give you haptic feedback as well as when you're using that gesture button, it will also give you this nice haptic feedback, which you can also modify in the software as well in terms of the intensity. But what I've noticed is, even though the ring is there in terms of that ring button, in terms of pressing it here, it also clicks pressing it at the back as well, although not as responsive as clicking it right where the thumb goes there. But it's a nice thumb rest as well, so it doesn't react to what you're doing unless you actually press it. So you can just rest your thumb on there and use it day to day and you're good to go. But overall though, I think this is really nice in terms of the ergonomics and just the way that it's been built to allow for comfort, and so you can have it comfortably in your hand without having to worry about anything at all. And then on the other side, there's nothing there at all, just nice and plain, but although it's updated as well, so you get this nice soft material just here. So when you're holding onto it like so, it's just nice and comfortable in hand and nice and soft. So that's a bonus. And then we look up top here. We see some changes as well. So for example, you can now see that LED indicator light is there now. You got your button there to adjust the way that the scroll does. So if you want free scrolling or you want a bit of a notch to it, you press that and then you can adjust the way that this functions. So you get this like nice clicky feedback. But if you press it one more time, and then you can have it just free scroll and it's nice and smoother depending on what you want to do. And then this buttons here, they're actually quite nice in terms of this translucent finishing, and also it doesn't click anymore, so it's just nice and quiet. It's the quietest mouse I've used. Like, just, in fact, let me see if you guys can hear it. So this is the old one, and then this is the new one. So quiet, you can't hear anything at all. So that's pretty much it in terms of those buttons and what's available there. And then as always up front there, you get that USB-C port, and this also comes with a USB-C dongle, which you can use to connect to other devices. It's currently connected to my iPad here, so if I just remove it, you can see this tiny little dongle here, which is so small I can't even get it to focus on camera, but it's this tiny little dongle that's so small, but unfortunately there's no storage for it on the actual MX Master 4 itself, so you'll end up having to either leave that connected to your device or store it somewhere safely so you don't lose that. So that does come with it as well. And on the bottom, they've updated that as well, so you now see that you still get the button there to switch between devices, so you can connect up to 3 devices to this and switch between them as well, which is a really cool bonus to have. The power button there has been moved around. The lasers are still there as well, but although it looks a bit larger, maybe, I'm not sure. But this will give you 1.2 millimeters minimal lift off, and this will work on transparent surfaces as well, which is a bonus. So if you use a glass desk, you don't have to worry about whether this will work properly or not on your glass transparent desk. So again, massive bonus there for you. In terms of battery, you get 650 milliamp hour battery in there. So this will give you 70 hours of use on a single charge, which is a whole lot. And it doesn't take long to recharge it as well. So you just plug in via the USB-C port and this will charge up very quickly before you know it. What I tend to do is before I leave the studio, I'll turn it off underneath it. And then by the time I come back the next day, switch it back on to save battery. But overall though, battery life is really good. The haptic feedback, depending on the intensity that you give it, might affect the battery life as well, but not massively. That's even worth mentioning, but I've mentioned it. There you have it. One thing I forgot to mention as well is this feet underneath it as well it looks bigger. So that way it's just smoother on the surface when you're moving around and you don't have to worry about when you're designing stuff, when you're trying to be as precise as possible, this is not going to hinder you in that way. This is very good in general. I'm not going to use this for competitive gaming, but you can still use it for gaming if you want to, but not so much for fast-paced competitive gaming. I wouldn't use this for that. I'm just going to move the old one out of the way for now because we can focus on this. But overall, in terms of design, I think it looks really good. It's nice and soft, nice and comfortable, soft in terms of the material, and just really good product. It's something that I'm always going to use unless they F it up, but until they do that, I'm going to get the next one and the next version that they bring. Where this mouse really comes to life though is when you download the Logi Plus, I think it's called Logi Plus app or something like that, which allows you to customize your MX Master 4 in so many different ways. You can customize the buttons to do different things. The gesture button, you can customize that as well to open or do different things as well, but I've just left it as default. Well, unfortunately, this doesn't come out of the box with those gestures ready to go. So you'd have to download that software and then configure it, which it doesn't take long to do. I know some websites and reviews complain a little bit about that, but I think it doesn't take long to do. There's no onboard storage, so you do have to have this software to be able to do that kind of stuff, unfortunately. But once you've done it, and it's good to go. You can also configure this to be pertaining to the actual app that you want to use. So for example, some apps are supported for now. So Final Cut Pro, for example, Photoshop, Premiere, you can configure some of this to just allow you to be a lot more productive. So for example, I've set this middle click here to allow me to quickly cut clips when I'm editing in Final Cut Pro. So as I'm dragging, I'm using the horizontal scroll to scroll across and then using that middle button there to just cut and then move along. It just saves me so much time in terms of, instead of having to use keyboard shortcuts, I can just do that straight away on my mouse, which I think is very good. So you can do stuff like that. The software allows you to do things like adjust the haptic level, so you can have it from like soft to all the way to intense. So you can change that to wherever you want. I think medium is like the default, but for me, I've just turned it to the lowest amount because I don't really have it. I don't really want it to be feeling too haptic-y, if that makes sense. That's not a word, but you get what I mean. But yeah, so you can adjust that to suit your preference, which is really good. So I think overall, in terms of the functionality, it's brilliant. I like what they've done. The software is great, which allows you to do so much customization to this. Battery life is fantastic as well. The design, like I already said, is really good as well. And it's available in other colors as well, but I prefer this one because it's just nice and subtle. It's not fully black, it's not gray. It's just like in between, and it's just really nice. I love that translucent finishing on the actual clicky areas. And that Logi logo, maybe they could have moved that elsewhere. I don't like the way that it's there, but nitpicking, nothing, not a big deal. But I think overall, really good product, and I think this is probably the one mouse to rule them all. This is the one that you have to have as part of your productivity tool or just what you use on day-to-day basis. So yeah, definitely consider this one. And yeah, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And I think they're reasonable price as well. I looked on eBay, you can even get them secondhand for like 50 quid or something like that. So yeah, really good pricing, really good stuff. Let me know what you think, and thanks for watching. See you in the next one.